Vancouver from Portland today, which is kind of great. His flight came in this morning, and he's leaving this afternoon, just so that he could come and share with us the ongoing success that is taking place in Portland, Oregon, around the Central City Concerns Sobering Station and the Hooper Detoxification program and the Hooper VAM program that the Central City Concern runs in Portland, Oregon. My understanding is that the program is named after the last person to die in custody in city jails of alcoholism. And I imagine if we had a similar service here, it would be called the Frank Paul Detoxification program. But it's interesting, the parallels between us and Portland. And in particular, what we can learn from them about the model that they're currently running. So it's a real pleasure to introduce to you Stephen Matson from Portland, who's going to share with us their community's experiences. Thanks, Stephen.
Hello, as David said, my name's Steve Matson. I'm a paramedic and certified alcohol and drug counselor in Portland, and I manage the Hooper Memorial Detox Center, which is part of a nonprofit social service agency in Portland whose mission roughly is to end homelessness in the Portland area. And because alcohol and drug intoxication and addiction is such a leading cause of homelessness, we're deep into that. The thing that's so wonderful about Central City Concern is they've developed this marvelous continuum of care. We can literally find somebody passed out on a sidewalk in Portland, assess them, transport them to the sobering station, sober them, perform interventions, hopefully get them into detox, from there into alcohol and drug-free housing, inpatient or outpatient treatment, mental and standard health care, workforce, and even beyond. It's this wonderful chain linking public inebriates to tax-paying citizens. And we get people who come visit and see what we've got and the amount of resources we have, and a lot of people are overwhelmed. It's like, we don't know where to start. How can we get as many of the things as you have? Are they all essential? How does one go about building this? These are some of the buildings that we either own, lease, or manage. There's over 1,500 units of housing for formerly homeless people that we take care of. The way this all started was in 1971 with the sobering station. The Hooper Center now has 3 different programs: the Outreach Cheers, the Sobering Program, and a Subacute Stabilization Center, which is medical detox. But really, the Sobering Station is where it all came from. It's a very Spartan facility. A lot of people who take tours there say, well, this reminds me of jail. How is this any better than jail? It's very easy to maintain, staff, take care of, very cheap to run. But the difference between it and jail is we don't have law enforcement officers or correction officers working. Everybody we hire is either an EMT, paramedic, or we hire a lot of people with their own personal histories of addiction and recovery. In fact, Central City Concern has over 500 employees, and at last count, at least 70% of them had a background of addiction and recovery. Many of them are former clients as well. And the reason we were able to build this continuum of care from the sobering station is the sobering station works well on its own as strictly harm reduction. We can sober up people much better than the jail, much cheaper than the emergency rooms, and much safer than leaving them on the streets. The merchants who have homeless people camping their doorway are particularly appreciative of that last part. So the compassion that our people who have the history of addiction and recovery and the EMTs show these clients, the respect is what makes that Spartan facility kind of a magical place. David's particularly asked for some logistical information. We're open 24/7, 365 days a year. And our day shift is the least busy. We do about 5 clients a day on day shift, more than 15 on the swing in the graveyard. We deal with 25 different police agencies bring us clients to the Hooper Center. The sobering station, at least 95% of them are there involuntarily. They arrive via the police or with our outreach van, the Cheers. Cheers is kind of an interesting program. It's kind of like a cross between a paddy wagon and a basic life support ambulance. They have at least one EMT on board, and the staff has been deputized by the sheriff of Multnomah County to apply what's called the Oregon Civil Hold Law. They're not sworn law enforcement officers. They don't have duty belts, that sort of thing. They're not interested in chasing down people they suspect of being intoxicated. These are for the people that they find literally passed out on the sidewalk. And as they're lifting them into the van, if the person says, no, I don't want to accompany you, well, that's where this civil hold law and their deputization comes into effect. I'm afraid you'll have to come with us until you're able to better care for yourself. It's not really a police function. Again, it's a public health type function. And the Cheers has been around approximately 25 years, and it's had various funding sources. Right now, it's 100% paid for by the Portland Police Department. They love Cheers. The Portland Police will respond to a man down, recognize that this is probably not a criminal. The Cheers van will show up. The EMT can assess, make sure it's not a severe medical issue where the regular ALS provider would then be called. If Cheers deems this is appropriate for sobering, they can load them up, and the police officer goes off and does police work. Cheers does all the paperwork. Much more efficient. Sobering program, as I say, very Spartan. Looks a lot like jail. Concrete floors, wooden stools, toilets. And back to the demographics, we're doing somewhere between 10 and 12,000 admits a year now. Portland metro area is roughly a little more than 1 million people now. We get them coming in from the surrounding area as well. We're much busier on drinking holidays like New Year's Eve, Mardi Gras, St. Patrick's Day, that sort of thing. But mostly it's that core group that we're trying to get into detox and into Central City Concern housing that we're working with. We staff are, as I mentioned, with EMTs, much cheaper than nurses. And this is a very street-level kind of program where EMTs and paramedics are actually comfortable in that environment. We have standing orders from our medical director, who's a physician. EMTs and paramedics are very used to following standing orders and doing what the doctor tells them. They do have a different mindset than the transporting EMTs because they're not trying to move this person onto a higher level of care. They're trying to keep them. Now, having said that, it works very well as a safety net as well. We do get people who are brought in who have medical issues. The EMTs are pretty good at recognizing that, activating the ALS system, and getting them to an appropriate level of medical care. It's very seldom that they'll accept somebody that they probably are beyond their capabilities. So once they've done this sort of harm reduction of where they're just sobering up these people safely, keeping them out of the emergency doorways, keeping them out of the emergency rooms, keeping them out of the jails, they see a lot of these people over and over again. And as their clients are getting ready to discharge, they're becoming more lucid, more able to understand information, and the staff is developing a relationship with them. They see the same person over and over, and each time they see them, they can plant that seed. You know, we're seeing you an awful lot. Why not think about this detox program that we have? You want some information about that. You can each time the person comes in, share a little bit more information, build that trust. I talk about the continuum of care as if it's almost seamless. There's lots of escape gaps in between each program, and it can be a pretty circuitous route from one end to the other. But it doesn't matter how many times we'll see them in the merry-go-round of the sobering station. If we can get them into detox, move that along. In fact, seeing them over and over builds that relationship and that trust.